Hello, it's clozapine fitting lean here again. Right, in this video I want to address two medically appropriated terminologies. One is TOFI and the other one is MHO. So TOFI means thin outer, fat inner, and MHO means metabolically healthy obese. Okay, so what does this mean? Right, a thin outer fat inner individual may have a normal BMI and a normal waist circumference and a normal amount of caloric intake. Okay, they don't have jiggly subcutaneous fat, but what they have are dangerously stored fat, which is visceral fat, and also infiltration into the organs such as ectopic fat. Okay, and this actually renders them drastically unhealthy. These people, okay, may have inactive lifestyles, desk jobs. Okay, they may have very unhealthy eating habits. Okay, so they have McDonald's for breakfast. They have a sugary bag of cookies for lunch. They have 2 or 3 Coca-Colas in between, and they get like a takeaway at home before they go to bed. Okay, they may have 2 or 3,000 calories a day. Okay, but that fat that they do have, as I say, it's not jiggly subcutaneous fat, which actually mostly is protective. Unless you get really fat, it's visceral fat and in fact infiltrates into the liver or even potentially the heart, called ectopic fat. And these people, they have dysregulated glucose metabolism, insulin kinetics, lipid profile, you name it. Even though they look normal, thin outer, they are unfortunately metabolically ill, okay, and have dangerous fat deposits, in places, as I say, such as the visceral cavity, liver, and even the heart. Now, MHO stands for metabolically healthy obese. These people may have, an obese BMI and may say feed on 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day, maybe twice as many calories as a TOFI. But these people are, for example, bulked up powerlifters or bulked up bodybuilders in the off season, or people that are prop forwards in rugby. Okay, these people do large training training volumes with weights in the gym. They do lots of cardiovascular exercise. They eat things like salmon, basmati rice, spinach, broccoli, pasta, steak. Very little alcohol to no alcohol consumption. Very little to no sugar consumption, or sort of unhealthy food items, which they may only say consume moderately as a cheat item. Okay, these people, okay, even though they have a large waist circumference, have the jiggly subcutaneous fat, they have a normal glucose metabolism, normal insulin kinetics, a healthy regulated lipid profile, little to no fat in their liver, etc., etc., little to no systemic inflammation. They're all good to go. Now, please, BMI can be most of the time a useful criteria to assess someone's health. Okay, however, it is becoming increasingly more noted that this is not the be all and end all. Okay, and you can be an MHO and you can be a TOFI. You can be storing fat, jiggly fat, or in your waist, and around your bum, and be a prop forward and be absolutely healthy. And conversely, you can actually be someone who sits at a desk all day on 2,000 calories of junk, have a 34-inch waist, okay, and be literally on the verge of developing diabetes. You might have pre-diabetes with a seriously fatty liver and a cholesterol profile which is left that dysregulated over the course of a few years, could actually start to manifest as heart disease. Okay, so there you go. Okay, it's not all about how a patient may look, okay, upon a brief physical examination and what they are number-wise on the scale. Okay, where that fat is located, so subcutaneous, visceral, ectopic, makes a big difference, and also so does the fuel that they run their body on. Okay, it's a huge, how can I say, hot topic. Lots of people think, obese people, just because they're obese, just aren't healthy. People think that people that consume just 2,000 calories or whatever makes them healthy. The modern day science is actually showing that this may not be true. Although it correlates, quite strongly, there are outliers. Okay, so clozapine, fit and lean, signing out once again. Boosh.